one mistake, 3 seconds long, and she quietly decided something about you that never got reversed. You probably don't even remember it happening. That's the part that should worry you. Somewhere in a hug that felt completely normal to you, your body did something that her nervous system registered instantly, and not in your favor. No argument followed, no conversation addressed it. She just quietly filed you under a different category than the one you were hoping to be in. And the mistake wasn't dramatic. It wasn't obvious. It was small enough that you'd never think to look for it. This video is going to show you exactly what it is. You think you're connecting, she's quietly taking notes. Here's something most men have never been told, and it changes everything once you understand it. A hug to you might feel like a simple gesture. Affection, greeting, comfort, closeness, straightforward, low stakes. Something you do without much thought because it seems like the most natural thing in the world. But to her nervous system, a hug is data. Rich, detailed, instantly processed data about who you are, how safe you are, how aware you are of her as a person, and whether closeness with you feels like an expansion or a contraction. And there's one specific mistake, one pattern that shows up constantly that almost every man makes without realizing it, that quietly tells her nervous system something you never meant to say. It doesn't ruin things dramatically. It just slowly, consistently erodes the depth of connection that's available to you. And because it's invisible to you, you keep making it. Over and over, with every woman who could have gotten closer to you if you hadn't. Today, we name the mistake. We explain the psychology behind why it lands the way it does, and we give you exactly what to do instead. 1. The mistake. Hugging with your body while your mind is somewhere else. Here it is, the thing almost every man does without knowing it. You go in for the hug, your arms perform the correct mechanics, but your attention, the actual present here right now part of you, is already moving toward whatever comes next. The conversation you're about to have, the thing you need to say, the exit you're planning, or the destination you're walking toward. Your body is in the embrace, you are not. And she feels the difference instantly, not consciously necessarily. She may not be able to explain it if you asked her directly, but her nervous system registers the gap between physical contact and genuine presence, and that gap registers as something specific: distraction, or worse, indifference. This is the mistake. Not malice, not coldness, just absence disguised as contact. And it is so common, so deeply embedded in how men move through ordinary physical greetings that almost nobody identifies it as a problem worth solving. But it is, because every hug where you weren't actually there teaches her, slowly and cumulatively, that being close to you doesn't mean being truly met by you. 2. Why this mistake is so easy to make and so hard to notice. The reason this happens so consistently is structural, not personal. It's not about you specifically, it's about how the human brain handles routine physical gestures. A hug is something most of us have done thousands of times. It's automated. Like a handshake or a nod, it runs on a kind of motor memory that doesn't require conscious attention to execute correctly. And because it doesn't require attention, we don't give it any. We let the body run the program while the mind continues whatever it was already doing. This works fine for hugs that don't carry emotional weight. A casual goodbye to an acquaintance, a polite greeting at a work event. But it fails completely for hugs that matter, because the automated version and the present version look identical from the outside but feel completely different from the inside of the embrace. She cannot see your thoughts, but she can feel with startling accuracy whether the arms around her are running on autopilot or are actually consciously there. 3. What her nervous system concludes when you make this mistake. Let's go into the psychology specifically, because understanding the mechanism is what makes the correction possible. When a woman embraces someone and senses the absence we just described, the distracted autopilot quality of contact without presence, her nervous system doesn't conclude he's busy or he had a lot on his mind. It concludes something more fundamental. I am not currently important enough to receive his full attention. This conclusion happens instantly and below conscious awareness. She's not deciding to think this. Her body is registering a felt experience and translating it into an emotional read on the relationship. And here's why this matters so much. Physical closeness is one of the primary channels through which humans assess how much they matter to someone else. We are wired this way evolutionarily. Touch and proximity carry enormous information about social bonds and safety. When the touch is present but the attention isn't, the mismatch creates a quiet, often unconscious downgrade in how significant she experiences herself to be in your world. Do this enough times, across enough interactions, and you create a woman who has learned, without ever being told directly, that hugging you doesn't actually mean being met by you. And she adjusts. She stops expecting the embrace to give her anything. She starts treating it as a formality rather than a moment of genuine connection. 4. The specific moment where this mistake costs the most. Not all hugs carry equal weight, and understanding where this mistake does the most damage helps you know exactly where to apply the correction. The hugs that matter most, where presence or its absence has the greatest emotional impact, are the ones that happen during emotionally significant moments. After a hard day, during a conflict that's being repaired, at a moment of genuine excitement or accomplishment she wants to share with you, in a goodbye that carries more weight than an ordinary one. These are the moments where she is, often without fully realizing it, testing the relationship. Not deliberately, but her nervous system is using these charged moments as data points. Is this person actually here with me when it matters? If your attention drifts during an ordinary low-stakes hug, the cost is minimal. But if your attention drifts during one of these weighted moments, if she comes to you after something hard happened and your hug is mechanically present but emotionally absent, the cost compounds dramatically. Because she needed something specific in that moment, and what she received instead was the gesture without the substance. Pay closest attention to these high-stakes moments. They are where the mistake does the most damage and where correcting it does the most good. 5. Why saying the right words doesn't fix this. Many men, sensing that something is off in their physical connection, try to compensate verbally. They say more, they add reassurance, they tell her how much she means to them, hoping the words will fill the gap that the physical absence created. This doesn't work, and understanding why is important. Words operate on a different channel than physical presence. They can be genuinely meant and still fail to repair a felt sense of distraction because the felt sense isn't asking for information, it's asking for a different quality of contact. You cannot talk your way into presence. You can only actually become present. This is why some relationships have a strange quality where the words are loving and frequent, but the underlying emotional experience remains slightly hollow. The verbal reassurance and the physical reality are operating on different tracks, and the body always trusts the physical track more. If you want to fix the mistake, the fix has to happen in the body, in the quality of attention during contact, not in compensatory language afterward. 6. The correction. Arrive before you reach. Here's the actual fix, and it's simpler than you might expect, though simple doesn't mean easy. Before your arms go around her, take one conscious breath. Let it be a real one, not performed, not rushed. In that breath, deliberately let go of whatever was occupying your mind a moment before. The conversation, the plan, the thing you were about to do. This takes less than 2 seconds. Nobody watching would notice it happening. But it changes everything about the quality of what follows, because it ensures that when your arms do go around her, the rest of you is already there waiting. This single habit, arriving before reaching, is the foundation of everything else. Without it, every other technique for better physical connection is built on sand. With it, even an ordinary hug becomes something genuinely felt. 7. What genuine presence feels like from her side. Once you make this correction, here's what changes from her perspective, because understanding the contrast helps reinforce why this matters. A present hug has a different quality of weight. The arms don't just complete a shape, they hold with intention. The breathing is slower, fuller, more real. Not performed calm, but actual calm, because the mind isn't elsewhere generating tension. There's no subtle premature readiness to disengage, no slight forward lean that signals the next thing is already calling. She feels received. Not just touched, received. And that distinction, while hard to articulate, is something her nervous system recognizes instantly and remembers. It's the difference between a hug that passes through her and a hug that actually lands. Women consistently describe this quality, when they encounter it, as feeling like being home. Not because anything dramatic happened, because for a few seconds, someone was completely there with them, and that experience is rare enough to be unforgettable. 8. The 2 or 3 seconds after matter just as much. The mistake doesn't only live inside the hug, it often continues into what happens immediately after. And this is where many men who've started getting the embrace right still lose the impact. The hug ends, and immediately, instantly, attention snaps to the next thing. The conversation resumes. The phone comes out. The forward momentum of life reclaims the moment before it's had a chance to fully land. This is the same mistake wearing a different outfit. The premature exit from presence. What changes everything is staying for just a few seconds longer than feels necessary. Holding eye contact briefly after you separate. Letting there be a beat of stillness before the world rushes back in. This small extension communicates that the moment you just shared mattered enough to not be immediately abandoned. It costs you almost nothing. It gives her something that very few people in her life consistently offer. 9. Why this single correction changes more than you'd expect. It might seem like a small thing, being present during a hug, staying a beat longer, breathing before you reach. But the cumulative effect of consistently correcting this one mistake reaches far beyond physical affection. Because what you're really practicing is presence itself, the capacity to be fully where you are with the person you're with, without the constant low-grade pull toward what's next. And that capacity, once developed in the smallest, most automatic gestures, starts to show up everywhere else. In conversations, in how you listen, in the quality of attention you bring to every interaction that matters. She will feel the difference not just in how you hug her, but in how you exist around her generally. Because the mistake we've been describing was never really about hugging. It was about a pattern of distraction that hugging happened to reveal most clearly. Fix it there, and you start fixing it everywhere. She was never asking for a better hug. She was asking to be actually held. The mistake we talked about today is invisible, automatic, and almost universal, and that's exactly why correcting it sets you apart so completely. Not because the correction is difficult, because almost no one bothers to make it. Arrive before you reach. Hold with real intention. Breathe like you mean it. Stay a few seconds longer than feels necessary. Let her feel every single time that being close to you means being genuinely met by you. That is not a technique. That is who you become when you decide that presence matters more than performance. She will notice, even if she never says exactly why. If this gave you something real to carry into your next interaction, subscribe. Every week on this channel, we go into the small, overlooked moments that actually build deep connection, the mistakes nobody talks about, the corrections that change everything. You're already someone who wants to do this right. That puts you ahead of almost everyone.